Hello and welcome to the Plate Spinning Academy podcast, hosted by me, Nick Davis, a productivity mentor and multi-passionate entrepreneur. I know what it feels like when you want to do all of the projects all at the same time, with never enough time and energy to do it all. I'm a passionate creative who's found my almost perfect blend of business and life that keeps my head motivated, my body energised and my heart happy. I'll be talking about all things to do with organisation, rotas, goal setting, systems and structures, and strategies for business and life together, all combined with a healthy dose of accountability and motivation to help you on your journey. It's time for you to find your tailored recipe for accomplishment and contentment. Hello and welcome to today's episode. I'm going to be talking about clocking off, if anybody remembers that term, maybe from the 1970s or 80s. If you're not familiar with it, thinking about going back in time, many factories and similar workplaces would have a clock near the entrance, and you'd stick your time card in when you came into work and it would give you a timestamp, and then you do your work for the day. And then you'd clock off at the end of the workday with another timestamp for when you'd finished. It was a way to keep track of who was on time, who was late, and who'd be sneaking off for an early dart. And I guess these days it's mainly now used with computer software for capturing when you log in and out to start and finish work. So I guess it works well for employees working from home, for an employer, to prove when you've started and finished work. But what do we do as our own boss? Who's actually watching what time you're working? Nobody apart from you is the answer. You're the boss of your own time. So does it matter if you're a few minutes late starting work or finishing a bit early? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You shift your unfinished tasks to another time. That's about it. Okay, so this doesn't sound too bad. And working for yourself, you wanted that autonomy over your own time, didn't you? It can backfire sometimes, and this is what comes down to not clocking off when we're supposed to, I guess. So when you go out to work, you're at work. You're in a completely different environment from home, and there are visual cues everywhere to let you know that. But working from home is completely different. The visual cues you have everywhere are that you are at home, and this can cause problems when you're trying to focus and get your work done. So if you imagine you're working towards an important deadline and your eyes drift away from the computer screen and you are met with the sight of a comfy sofa just waiting to be sat on, or that pile of washing in the corner that's waiting to be put away. It's a bit tricky, isn't it? Then going back to focusing on your work. And something else that we don't have in place when we work from home is, so there's no physical commute to work from home. Whether it's a walk or driving your car or using public transport, the commute journey, however that looks, is a kind of transition that allows our brains and bodies to shift from wearing our work hat to wearing our home hat. So you come home from work, you get through the door, kick off your shoes. Maybe someone who's got a physically demanding job might shower straight away, or maybe you'll just get changed into your yoga pants or your pajamas. But whatever happens during that process of coming in from work and into your home, it's part of a definitive transition from employee to home dweller. So whatever has gone on at work, you don't need to worry about it for the rest of the day. That's a tomorrow problem. But when you work from home, it's a lot different. What transition process do we actually have by walking, say, from the kitchen to the lounge that helps you to shift your state from home dweller to business owner? Because we've not got those logistical transitions in place automatically, because we need to get to work because it's in a different location, it's really important that we intentionally put these into place for ourselves. think about having some form of physical or visual cue to switch off from work. It can be difficult if we haven't got an office door to close. So like many of our houses now are smaller and there might not be a separate office. So I know on a personal level, my office is actually the corner of the living room. So I don't have that separation between the work that I do at home and also living at home and relaxing at home. But maybe we could just do something simple as clearing some stuff away or putting a blanket over your office chair to say, okay, work is done for the day. When I first started painting furniture at home, I was awful for nipping out during a TV ad break and thinking, oh, I'll just do that job. It's only going to take 2 minutes. There was always something to finish off or to fix. At the time, I had a separate workroom, so I could just close that door, but I just couldn't help myself. I was always wanting to do just that little bit more. I wasn't in home mode, but I wasn't in work mode either. I was kind of constantly flitting between the two. It definitely wasn't a healthy balance for me. I had absolutely no discipline whatsoever. But I guess that is a problem when you love what you do. It's your passion. So why would you want to stop? I think what's important is that regardless of how much you love your work, you still need to step away. It's way too easy to keep going. And it's up to us to put firm boundaries in place with ourselves. So if you don't have a dedicated workspace at home, how can we make this transition easier? Thinking about maybe putting a temporary workspace together. Could you find a dedicated box or a bag to put your work stuff in when it's not in use? Can you lay it all out on your kitchen table when you are ready for work, if you have to use your kitchen table for working at? Can you then at the end of the day pack all of that stuff away and put it away on the shelf? That's that visual cue in place that tells you that work is finished and maybe it's time for your evening meal. It's just all those little things you can start to put in place. And they might not be big things, but it's those visual cues just to let your brain know that work is finished for the day. Sometimes it's just one simple little change that can make all the difference. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Come and find me on socials. I've got a couple of free groups you can find on my profile that you are welcome to join. I'd love to hear more about what you'd like me to talk about on the podcast, and I would welcome your ideas for future episodes.